all you gigolos and giglets. Superhuman here. And
Okay.
I'd like to remind you to, whatever you do, do not try this at home, and I hope you like it. Whoop whoop. Ugh. Ugh.
What does he say? What does he say?
At the end,
Yeah, he does something when he
before he does
jumps.
the stunt,
Yeah.
he's always like, "Fuck
This.
this shit."
Yeah.
And then he does whatever, and then he just like, "Ah, ah, ah, ah."
Mark, can you believe it? We're actually doing a second episode, and
Oh my gosh!
this.
After the millions of
Yep.
reactions that we got, we're back.
hmm That I bought for all bots in India. Today, we're talking about the biggest thing that happened. You know what that was, Mark, in the wrestling world?
Well, clearly you're talking
The
about
Go
John
Big Sh-
Silver.
the Go Big Show and Total Bellas going
No,
up against it tonight. Well,
I really thought you were talking about John Silver, Johnny Hungy, defending his BTE championship against that stooge, Marco Stunt.
well, he is a stooge. But nah, I'm pretty sure there were some other big events that happened in the world of wrestling this week, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. It was a huge week for wrestling fans, and it's across all the spectrums. It's across New Japan, it's across AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor's got some big news. Um, the wrestling world, it is a great time to be a wrestling fan. There's so much going on. There's so much out there that there's no better time for professional wrestling than right now.
Yes, out of all the podcasts you're listening to, I don't know why you're listening to this one, but we thank you. This is episode 2 of MTPW. We're trying to get better every day, and we're just talking about what we love, and that's some good old wrestling.
Wrestling, pro wrestling.
But obviously, Wrestling Kingdom 15 happened earlier this week on Monday and Tuesday, and then it just seemed like more wrestling action occurred on Wednesday as pretty much the first two big events in North America with New Year's Evil from NXT slash WWE and New Year's Dash or New Year's
New Year's
Bash.
Dash, Tyler.
New Year's.
New Year's Dash was definitely post Wrestle Kingdom in Japan. I think you're talking about a
Oh
good
yeah,
old New Year's Smash
yeah. Sorry, I've been
night
watching.
night one, featuring the Go Big Show. How can you mess that up? How can you? I mean, we're
That's really.
recording right now. We should be watching the Go Big Show. Sorry, Cody Rhodes and Snoop Dogg and all of you fine people at TBS, but duty calls.
This is kind of a sub rant, but dude, I honestly I don't like Snoop Dogg. Like if I see Snoop Dogg marketing something or anything like that, he's just a sellout and a stooge. He really is. I mean, I'm not even saying that because he did stuff with WWE within the past couple of years. He's just a stooge in general. Whoever is giving him the most money, he's going to say that's it. Because we play a lot of sports games, and he does a lot of sports songs. And one year he says NBA 2K11 is the best game in the world, and then he says Madden 21 is the best sports game in the world. I mean, come on.
Hey, hey, things change.
No.
From 2K11 to Madden 21, that's 10 years of video games. A lot
Yeah,
of things can
Madden
change
21
in
is
that time.
trash. Madden 21
I'm
is
not
trash.
okay. I'm not going to disagree with that, but we're not trying to start a video game podcast in the midst of our wrestling podcast. Um,
That's just all I'm saying. If I see Snoop Dogg in a commercial, I'm like, I don't want that. I mean, he's even in Tostitos commercials, and I don't like that. I
well,
hate
that's a
it.
shame because Tostitos are a terrific chip.
I know, but they got the sellout. But I think that's a pretty good segue into AEW because with him being a co-host with Cody on the Big Show. I mean, sorry, Go Big Show. I'm sorry, I watched a lot of wrestling, but no, I mean, so you just want to start with AEW?
Yeah, let's start there. Big night, night one, New Year's Smash.
Smash.
So obviously, first match of the night was the Young Bucks and SCU against the Acclaimed and the Hybrid 2. The Acclaimed have been coming after the Young Bucks over the last couple weeks. SCU made the save, I believe, a week ago.
Yep.
and obviously the Young Bucks and the Hybrid Two have been going back and forth. So big 8-man match to start off the night, and it was hot. And I think, especially going head to head on live television against New Year's Evil, this is the kind of tempo that NXT or the AEW wants to throw at NXT. Um, great match to start. Lots of action. Is good to see. Christopher Daniels getting a lot of action. Chris Daniels doesn't wrestle as much as he probably is used to, just with his role and his continuing to age. Um, but he plays a vital role backstage at AEW. So it's cool to see Christopher Daniels in the ring because I don't know how much longer we're going to get to see Christopher Daniels at the level that he's performing. What do you think?
Yeah, I know I'm kind of I'm going to be jumping on this what you say, but dude, it sounded like with after the match, the Young Bucks and SCU win. Uh, it sounds like after their promo after that match, it sounds like if SCU loses, they're going to be done. Is that correct? Or is that
Yeah,
just
that's right.
title? Or is that just for a title?
Well, so um, I think now, obviously, jump to the result. The Bucks and SU get the win after we get to see a pretty unique move with we see a best moonsault ever with a pile driver combining with one of the Jackson brothers and Chris Daniels as a combo Bucks SCU finisher. SCU Christopher Daniels gets the pin victory, and that promo with Frankie and SCU towards the Bucks going after the tag titles, and SCU loses and they're going to be done as a team. Frankie has already said that before. He said that near the end of last year, going up. Obviously, with Scorpio Sky kind of going off doing his own thing, Christopher Daniels coming back in. You've got the original SCU run, and I think they're going to try to give those guys at least one good run as a tag team. I don't know if that means they're going to be able to hit the top of the mountain and win the belts, but they're going to go for it. And so Kazarian really doubling down um, on that, and obviously Christopher Daniels agreed. It's like when we lose as a team, like we're gonna split and be done. So we'll see what that means as far as how far SU can make this run go, and see if they can be the first two-time tag team champions in AEW.
Um, I did read it said if they lose their next match as a team, so it doesn't have to be for the title. That's what I was confused about. I
Right.
don't know if you said t- match as a team for the title, but I don't think it's going to happen. Um, I love SCU. You know, been a tag team for almost 10 years, probably even before that, like officially. Um, I think it's time for them. They're probably going to split it up because I think Daniels wasn't he hurt? Is that why he didn't wrestle as much in the previous year?
I do believe he had some injury problems, and then on top of that, he's also um, I don't know if he's head of like talent relations, but he's has some kind of backstage role like that where he oversees. He's kind of like that between man for the EVPs and the talent, um, probably as well as just being that old kind of trainer, mentor in the locker room. So, and obviously, Kazarian's kind of even again since Scorpio, they've kind of let Scorpio go, let Scorpio try to go on a singles run and do his own thing. Frankie's been running singles matches as well, and Frankie's looked pretty decent. So, you set up Frankie to be a good singles star, and then he can help build talent and get guys over and help just provide good work in the ring. So, it'll be interesting to see how all that kind of plays out. But yeah, the next loss that SCU has, it will be their last, and I think that'll be a little bit of an emotional moment for sure to see, especially Frankie and Chris not be teaming together anymore. Because like you said, they've been together for a long time. They were teaming together in TNA. They were teaming together in Ring of Honor, and sad day for tag team wrestling when they're not together anymore.
Yep. And they also said that if they're not facing the Young Bucks. They're going to be on the they're going to protect the Young Bucks' back, which I don't know after tonight. I don't know if that's going to be interesting. So you got to stay tuned to what we mean.
That's
Uh,
a tease.
yeah. I mean, Young Bucks did a Young Bucks match, so for me, as much as I love SCU, but right
Now,
after, go ahead.
well, I was going to say, apparently there's a report out that one of the Jackson brothers, possibly Nick Jackson, might have got injured in that match. I haven't heard anything. I haven't read anything. All I've seen is that there's a potential rumor that he has a leg injury. So we'll see what happens. That would be a pretty crappy way to start the new year, especially with the Bucks looking to have a strong 2021 as the tag champions. Um, Especially with all of the potential that they have with this new year and where they could be potentially going.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it was like some type of leg contusion for one of the young for one of the Young Bucks. I'm not sure, but hopefully he gets better and continue what they have planned for the Acclaim. So next up is John Moxley returns promo comes from the crowd. Pretty pretty pumped, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, Moxley. I mean, Moxley is a breath of fresh air compared to his end run as the Titty Master Dean Ambrose, which we were yeah this show is a big Titty Master show.
Oh yeah,
Um, the Titty Master, Titty Master. Um, but it's nice to see Mox be free. It's nice
Roman
to
Reigns.
he's a real cool guy. The guy is a movie star. So seeing Moxley free, hearing him cut a promo that he's passionate about, is a proverbial breath of fresh air to the world of professional wrestling. Um, I am interested to see how he's going to try to make Kenny Omega's life a living hell. I'm interested to see how he's going to try to get his title back, but as well beyond that, and I guess as a spoiler, getting into our Wrestle Kingdom talk,
Yep.
he cut a promo because obviously there's been a lot of that discussion. Kenta's been carrying around this briefcase for a long time, waiting to challenge John Moxley for the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship, and Moxley's just not been able to get overseas because of COVID, and
But he's scared.
New Japan hasn't stripped him of the title, and so, but Mox did put out a promo for Wrestle Kingdom, and he said, "Okay, I don't even care who wins at this point. I'm coming for you, and I will be defending the title soon." So that's big news, especially when Tony Khan was very adamant that Moxley would not be at Wrestle Kingdom. So I don't know what has changed in that. And we don't know what kind of timetable we're going to have as far as Mox getting over to New Japan, but it will be interesting because I know that Mox is not the only AEW wrestler who is also under contract with New Japan. So we'll see how that all works out.
Well, John, all he had to do was probably talk to his dad, the real owner of AEW, and they probably got something worked out. Yeah, I was going to say something about that where he mentioned about the Boogeyman in his promo. He also mentioned that in his New Japan promo. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, not only with his match against Omega potentially, and also his match with Kenta later on. Now, do you think he's going? We'll say that for later. New Japan talk in the New Japan section. Okay. Next match, we saw a couple of big boys. Big boy it out.
Big
Wardlow.
sweaty men bumping meat.
I want beef. Wardlow versus Jake Hagar. Pretty decent match. I mean, they just beat the living tar out of each other, like kind of like what you expected. Wardlow won with the F10. A pretty good. Is what it was. I like seeing the inner circle and the ramp in a closer view of the action, and also I liked how they interacted with each other afterwards. It was no Wardlow or MGF turning on inner circle or anything like that. It's kind of just like Jake Hagar gave respect to Wardlow, like, hey, you kicked my ass, good, that kind of stuff. That's what I was kind of hoping that was going to happen. No turns because I know the inner circle has been going on for a long time, but I feel with MJF and Warlow that injected into it, I feel that they can extend this out a little bit longer and be interesting at the same time.
Well, and it's like Chris Jericho says, the inner circle is family, and the inner circle's in a really good spot, and you see that. You know, this issue between Hager and Wardlow was more of a we want to see who the alpha big male is, and in this case, Wardlow had the better night over Hager, and I think that that's only a good showing of the potential that Wardlow has. And it's exciting to be able to see what Wardlow will be able to provide in the future because it's, now it gives that extra versatility to him. He's not only just this big muscle behind MJF, he can also be muscle himself. And seeing the improvement that he's had from, I even think of just like the match that he had with Cody in the cage, until this match with Hager. I mean, Wardlow is getting better. I'm excited to see how that turns out for him. And I think that him and Hager, two big men, big sweaty men bumping meat, um, it's a good mix up. I love AEW. I think the in ring product is great. I also really appreciated this big boy match just because it's a different style, it's a different pace compared to what you're generally used to seeing on AEW television, and I think that that's good. I think that it's a good thing to produce multiple sides of professional wrestling because there are so many different styles, so many different ways that you can show off how great pro wrestling is, and this is just another factor of that.
Definitely. I don't know if we're going to talk about this later on, but in the promo afterwards, you saw Hager just destroying. I don't. Did they say that? Did they say that was his locker room?
I mean, they didn't say it was his locker
Okay,
room, but he was in the locker room, so it's kind of
it
assumed
looked like a
that
lock.
that's where.
It was a locker room, but it also looked like a storage area on like a backstage area. You know what I'm talking about? Where it just seemed
I mean,
like
I'm sure it's probably a makeshift locker room when you're at a place like Daly's for as long as AEW's been there. You got to turn whatever you can into a locker room. I can only imagine.
definitely. I just confused about that. But MJF came to console the big Oklahoman, and Jake Hagar said he was a millisecond from destroying MJF. But thanks to the encouraging words of MJF, he was like, "I respect that, man. We're cool. Now get the hell out." Pretty much. I mean, don't quote me on the exact words, but that was pretty much the gist of it.
Yeah, I mean that
I
was
don't.
cool to see, but it raises a question for me because we've seen this song and dance before. MJF is gonna reel people in, he's gonna reel people in,
Mhm.
and then he's gonna kick you in the dick. And
That or he's trying to kick Chris Jericho in the dick.
right, I'm not necessarily, yeah, I don't want to
Oh,
say that he's trying to kick Hager in the dick, but I think he's coming for Chris. And so, we saw him do the exact same thing with Cody. It'll be interesting to see how MJF in the inner circle plays out. And we'll see part of that. I know that Chris at the end of the match talked about how next week or at some point in the show they talked about how next week the inner circle will be sharing their New Year's resolutions. So it'll be interesting to see, okay, what's the goal and the plan and the vision for the inner circle in 2021 and where they go from here.
I, I like that. You know how people do their resolutions like the day before, the day of New Year's, and they're unable to do it. The inner circle was probably like, let's wait a couple days, really think this over, and then once next week happens, that's when we do it, and that's when we're more focused to do it. I mean, the inner circle are just geniuses. I just geniuses.
Well, and that all comes from the leader. It all comes from the demo god, the champion, Chris Jericho.
Okay. Next up, probably one of the favorite segments in the Bennett household. Team Taz, Brian Cage. Let's go with the weigh-in with that stooge, TNT champion Darby Allin. What's your
I think,
go ahead?
well, I think a big thing that has to be mentioned here is obviously we have a new look TNT Championship belt, um, and I'm glad that it's made mention of again. That last week the original Well, the original fully completed, because obviously the original belt got smashed, but the original TNT Championship was retired, given to -1 Brody Lee Jr. As Brody Lee being the champion for life as far as that TNT belt is concerned. I think the new TNT belt looks really sharp. It's got that black strap. It's got a little bit of red still in there, but the belt remained essentially the same, just a minor change, specifically with that strap color. I think it looks really good. Um, Maybe even a little better than what it did.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like it. I don't know, just some with me, man. Just if the strap on the belt's not black, I don't like it. I hate how in WWE the two men no Drew's his is black. Like the SmackDown titles and the tag team champion titles are like their own like their respective brand, and I really just hate it. Like I don't like it. Like I, I understand like with like with Shawn Michaels when he had like different colors of Intercontinental Champions titles because that fit him. But I don't know. I just don't like it. But
Well, I think, we can go ahead and go down the rabbit hole. I think that a white strap on a belt looks good, but it's got to be a specific kind of belt.
Intercontinental.
And I think that Intercontinental belt that Cody Rhodes reintroduced at one point to WWE. You talked about how there were several like Intercontinental Championships in the '90s that had different straps. I know like Warrior had a couple of different World Championship straps that were different colors. I think that a white strap can look really good. Um, I think black probably is the preferred, or black will probably work the best. I think a big thing, talking as far as belts are concerned, since we're in the rabbit hole, I hate cookie cutter WWE belts, and I understand why they do it because they can market it, they can make a lot of money that way. Um, but I think that there's something unique, and I do appreciate that AEW, New Japan, Impact, basically any other wrestling promotion, has distinguishable differences between their championships. This is the world's title. This is the Intercontinental or the TV or the TNT championship. These are the tag titles. This is the women's championship, and they each have their own unique look that makes that champion be stood out, makes them stand out, be different and apart from the rest of the roster. Whereas like my gosh, like WWE championships all look the same. The only ones that really look any different, and even still they kind of look a little bit the same, are the NXT UK belts, which I think are probably the best belts that WWE has right now.
The Intercontinental and the United States one are really different and really good. Of course,
That's true.
the Intercontinental is updated because the one you said it's crazy. Like the one Cody introduced was almost 10 years, and they've been using that belt. Um, but yeah, like the United States, it got a new one this year, and I don't know if it's just because Bobby Lashley has been holding it, but I definitely like this new title more. But also like I get what you're saying because I think it's they're trying to do the UFC approach, how every one of their titles look the same.
Well, if they did that, then they would literally make every single belt the same.
But
Like,
I don't know. I don't know. I just think it's stupid. Like, cause pretty much they're the same title except one's universal, which I don't understand. Um.
one's because one is so the distinct difference
Oh,
there,
don't get me that.
Tyler. Come on, you
I
stooge.
know.
One is the champion of the WWE universe, and then one is the champion of the world. There's a difference between the WWE universe and the
But
world.
it's been proven by Vincent K. McMahon that the WWE universe is bigger than the world, though.
Well,
So that means the big dog is better than Drew McIntyre. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that at all. You just tried to put those words in my mouth. All I'm saying is if you got a question about that, you can get in your car, drive up to Connecticut, and talk to Vince yourself.
They do have some rider positions I'm thinking about applying for, but like, what would I give them? Just WWE 2K19 story mode ideas. Anyways, let's get back on the subject. The whole point of Darby Allin and Brian Cage was their their way in for next week's title match for the TNT TV title. Uh, Brian Cage was looking beefy as hell. He holds 100-pound advantage over the champion Darby Allin, and like they said, he was 272, and they said
Yeah.
Darby Allin was 172, which I agree with Taz. I mean, he had so much stuff on. He had a jacket. He obviously had a 10-pound necklace on. It just wasn't. I don't know. It just wasn't fair. And of course, you know how wrestling is. After weigh-ins, they just scrapped, and then Darby Allin's stepdad
It's Sting!
came in, and I don't know. I know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. They're doing something with those two, obviously. I can tell from that, but I don't know. I'm not gonna like it. I don't see anything in Darby Allin. I don't see like he has a cool look, but to me he just looks like a creator wrestler in WWE 2K.
Well, I think that Darby provides that never quit, never back down attitude, even if the cards in the deck are stacked
It's
against
going
you.
to be stupid though. We're going to watch Brian Cage destroy him, and he's just going to get back up. And but like,
Hey,
why do
fall
people
7 times, stand up 8.
why do people like him, but they hated John Cena, even though John Cena made it believable because he was like a shaveless gorilla,
I think
and
that
because he has a skateboard.
well, and he's dark and he's different and he has this backstory of pain and hurt and how that has caused Darby to go into this place of like I'm just gonna be reckless isn't the right word, but it's just like like no shame, no abandon of if he gets hurt or whatever. He's like I'm gonna give everything I can. I'm gonna
No
go as hard as
concern
I
for his
can,
well-being.
um, because that's all I know. That's the only way I can succeed or get to where I need to. And I mean, we talked about it last week, and you didn't want to hear it, but there is even just the simple fact that Darby paints his face, and before we got into the COVID world, you saw two of the like two of the biggest people who were getting like fans to dress as them in the W or not the WWE in the AEW arenas were Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin. And 8 times out of 10, the people who were dressing up as Darby Allin were kids. And so there is something there. There's something alluring about that mystic, like half face painted, like hero who is just solemn and he's quiet and he's different. But I don't know. I know you don't like him, and that's fine. You're allowed to. Um,
I don't
I'm
mind.
just trying to point out. I'm just trying to point out this is what I think they see. I think this is the connection they're trying to make, and I think Darby. I think Darby's a good worker. I think that Darby can provide an interesting story with as they have been telling for a while. This feud has been going on for months, as they talked about last night.
No, I get that, but it's like with Orange Cassidy, just don't have them making stooges of your main stars.
Oh, don't say that just because Orange won the Mimosa match, pal.
Anyways, next up, Cody Rhodes versus Matt Sydal. If you're unfamiliar with that name, but you for some reason watch wrestling for the past 10 years, as Evan Bourne. But I don't know. I think Matt Sydal has kind of made his name as his own name within the past 5 years. If you've been watching wrestling, like have a interest in wrestling as your main thing, because he's been making a name for himself on the indies for a while.
Right, absolutely. And this was a very, this was the quote unquote the go big show match. I mean, good grief, you couldn't turn your head last night if you were watching Dynamite without seeing any kind of go big show advertising. Um, whether it was the ring apron or the railing around the ring, or they talked about it every 10 minutes. But this was it. This was the coup de grace as concerning the Go Big Show, especially with Snoop Dogg replacing Arn as as Cody's coach for the night. Um, but I think it was good to see. Personally, it was good to see Matt Sydal on Dynamite television. He made his debut in one of the pay per views. I want to say All Out. I could be wrong. I should have notes of that, and I don't because we're just a small regional wrestling show.
We're learning.
But um, he made that debut as the Joker's the wild card in the um battle royal, and from there, I mean, I know he's had matches on Dark. He's been on Dynamite occasionally. But I would imagine that someone like him would have a more prominent role on television. But I also know that there's just so much going on Dynamite, and AEW only has the one main television show 2 hours a week compared to WWE having 5 hours of television across two networks and two shows. So it's more difficult to get talent on and tell a compelling storyline and continue that through weeks and weeks and weeks at a time. But I think it was good to see Seidel on the main stage. Him and Cody have history, and this was a solid match. It was a solid match.
Agree. Who was
I
in the
know your
crowd
favorite
again?
part,
Wait, hold on. Who was in the crowd again? Serpec
Serpentico
and
and
Luther.
Luther.
Okay, I'm gonna need to know how to say that name. Yeah, Cody interacted with them earlier because they were in the crowd for some reason. Um,
So Cody was trying to throw a punch at Seidel. Seidel ducked and he hit Serpentico in the face.
there you go. And after Cody Rhodes defeated Seidel, Cody was celebrating, but then Luther and doing the skull,
Serpentico.
okay, came in and beat up Cody, and then it's like that stooge needed more time. He got on the ropes.
Best splash of the year, Tyler. You know it.
It wasn't
Best
that
splash of the year.
that cockroach guy. Well, I guess that was 2020. I was gonna say that cockroach guy looked more convincing off the top rope than Snoop Dogg did. But do you think
That
that
was
go?
pretty atrocious.
Yeah. But do you think the go? Yeah, are you gonna try to watch the Go Big Show? I mean, obviously not today. Like
Um,
I mean, other than wrestling and sports, I don't watch a lot of stuff live. But I don't know if it's like on Hulu or something. I'll probably give it a watch because I like Cody. I think he's really. I mean, he's done other stuff like he's done Arrow, so like he's obviously had
right.
had work in there. But I feel like I mean, he's probably one of the most likable guys in wrestling.
Yeah, Tyler likes Cody so much that I heard next week he's going to get a neck tattoo as well. So, um, I
Did you see that there was a fan that actually got that tattoo like in the right placement?
I'm sure there have been multiple fans who've gotten that same tattoo in the right placement.
I mean, dude, like, if you
Hey, more power to him, I
no,
guess.
I mean, dude, I mean, for those people, if Cody gives you a motivation and that gives you motivation, go, you know, they're gonna need it. But get a tattoo like that. But dude, like, why there? Like, why like in the middle of the neck? Like anywhere else other than like maybe the forehead, that tattoo would have looked good. I mean, it's not a bad looking tattoo, but it's just like the placement of it is terrible.
I don't even know. I don't even have a comment.
It's like
I,
it
I
reminded me of like Mike Tyson. Like remember? I mean, I know we were kind of young, but when we first heard Mike Tyson got that face tattoo, we were like, "What the hell?"
mhm.
And that's like when I
Yep.
like he's still a good
Yep.
dude. And honestly, I think he'll probably be one of the best people on there. Cause I don't know, Snoop
On the
Dogg's
like on the Go Big show you're talking
yeah,
about?
yeah. Snoop Dogg would probably do like, oh, that's crazy, y'all, for shizzle. He's gonna do his stupid stooge stuff, sell out, maybe and talk about weed here and there because that's cool.
It's also illegal in most states, so just
Oh,
be
I
careful
meant,
about
sorry,
that.
I meant cool to talk about on TV now. Sorry, I forgot. I should have continued that thought.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
um, let's just move on to the next match. AEW's Women's Championship match. Hikira, Hikaru Shida. Sorry, I,
Hikaru
I'm I'm
Shida.
I'm working on it.
Hey, that's
Versus,
better.
yep,
That's better, pal.
versus Abandon
Abaddon.
Abaddon, and Sheeta survived a zombie bite. How does she survive that? How is she living? And second of all, how is she still the AEW's women champion?
Well, this is now the second time that she has survived a zombie bite in the COVID era of professional wrestling. So that in and of itself is spectacular. Um, I have to be honest. By the time I watched AEW last night, I it was 3 a.m. and I had to work at 8:30 this morning. So there was one match on the card that had to get skipped, and unfortunately, it was this women's match. Not that I wasn't interested in it, but for the sake of attempting to try to get some sleep, this was the match I had to skip just because I didn't have time for it. But I've heard it was a great match. Obviously, Hikaru Shida is just really dominant in that women's division right now. I don't know if there's anybody who can come and step up against her.
I mean, honestly, man, you probably could have fit this in. It was like only 8 minutes long, I think, maybe 10. Um, nah, like other than the bite, like the only noteworthy thing of, in my opinion, of the match was during the entrance. Abaddon is how you say it.
Yes.
Alright, cool. Abaddon came out during Sharita's entrance, and Sharita just gave her a Singapore cane shot to the head. That was pretty interesting. Did
Who
other
is Sharita?
Hikaru? I'm just gonna say her first name, Hikaru, because I got that
You
down.
could just call her Shida.
Cheetah. What did I say?
You said Sharita.
Shit. Gosh. I'm trying to work on this. Hikaru. Um, but nah, I mean, it's funny for me saying, not even knowing their names, but honestly, I think they deserve better. Like, they should at least deserve like a 15, 13-minute match. This was just, it was pointless. Like, in my opinion, the only reason why this was on the match is because they wanted to put the AEW's Women's Championship on. And honestly, it's kind of, in a nutshell, how AEW's women division is.
Do you think that the match would have been better if they moved it to night two of New Year's Smash?
I mean,
Like, do you think it would have been more beneficial for them to move it to night two and give the match more time than trying to fit it in on last night's card?
yeah, like all they needed was more time. Like I don't know much about Abaddon, but Hikaru, like from what I've seen in AEW, is a pretty good wrestler.
Yeah, she's great. I saw her live in Charleston. I guess it would have been 2 Novembers ago now, or October's.
What does
October 2019, and I mean, she was great. She definitely earned a lot of fans, and in that match that I saw for sure.
yeah, just need more time, and I don't know because they got the NWA Women's Champion in there, Thunder Rosa, right?
The NWA Women's Champion right now is Serena Deeb.
Okay, yeah, that's who it was. My bad. But next match, main event, AEW
Well, I
World.
think before you get to the main event, I think it's important to run down what night two of New Year's Smash is going to look like because
Okay.
that was kind of the quick filler between the women's championship match and the AEW World Championship match. And we got a rundown of what night two of New Year's Smash was going to look like. And again, it looks like it's going to be another stacked evening of pro wrestling on TNT. The lineup includes Pac versus Eddie Kingston, that Death Triangle, Eddie's family. That's going to be a really good brawl. And then we also have Mira versus Chucky T. That's a match we didn't talk about with the promos
Oh
earlier.
God. Oh God. Thanks for reminding me, man. I was trying to. Why does Mira want to be everyone's best friend or friend?
Well, I think if I had to make an assumption, because that's what you do on podcasts when you host one,
He wants more.
he
He wants more people to
came
watch
from
his
a
streams.
land. He came from a land where he had no friends because he was a bad guy, and now that he can be his video game loving self, he just wants to be friends with everybody, and he wants to show that he is. the
The
best man.
stooge. The best
So
stooge.
the best stooge man. So Miro is going one on one with Chucky T. T's and P's to Trent. Trent's going to be on the shelf for a little while with his injury. We hope Trent has a speedy recovery. I like the best friends a lot. Um, and seeing just the progression of Trent and Chuck from their time in Ring of Honor and in the Indies and even New Japan to coming along the ride into AEW. Um, best friends are great, and so I hope that Trent gets healthy soon. But this one-on-one match is going to be Miro versus Chucky T, and if Chucky T loses, he will have to be Miro's young boy until after Kip and Penelope's wedding. What do you think about that stipulation?
In the main event, you saw Kenny Omega defend the AEW Championship against Ray Phoenix. Um,
You just completely ignored my question.
it's a good way to
I
close out.
muted. I muted. I muted my mic so I can eat this candy cane to give you a chance to answer, and you're just treating me like a piece of trash, and I don't appreciate that. So I guess that
Mark, you
tells
know
all the
how I
people
feel about it.
how you feel. I know that you would rather be Miro's young boy, but you can't, and so you're upset. So you don't want to talk about it. That's fine. I get it. Don't forget, New Year's Smash Night 2 is going to also include the Dynamite debut of The Waiting Room, Britt Baker's Waiting Room, featuring Cody Rhodes. And then one of the other backstage segments we didn't talk about, um, we saw a clip from Dark where Negative One came out,
Hmm.
talked some smack on Marco's stunt, that stooge, and that other stooge, Alex Marvez, interviewed Marco Stunt in the back and interviewed Jurassic Express. They're interrupted by FTR, the top guys, the good guys. And FTR came in, talked some smack on Marco. Marco got too big in his pants and challenged FTR to a match with him and Jungle Boy. So next week on New Year's Smash Night 2, we're going to see FTR, the top guys, against Jurassic Express featuring Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy with Luchasaurus at ringside. We're also going to
Hold
see.
on, it's going
Uh,
to see. It's going to be good to see FTR lose in a 20-minute match to those Stooges.
I cannot believe you just said that.
You know they're going to lose.
There's no way
There's,
that the top guys are going to let that stooge do them dirty.
dude. Something's going to crazy
FTR,
happen.
FTR's on a revenge tour. It's starting
Luchasaurus is
with
probably going
Jurassic
to do.
Express.
Luchasaurus is going to do something crazy to do something to Tully, and then one of them is going to be like, "Oh my gosh!" and they're going to boom, Schoolboy 1, 2, 3. JR will be like, "Oh my gosh! I can't believe this is the biggest upset in AEW history."
Well, if that happens, then you
We
can
just
come back
reviewed
and
next week's match.
you can give me if yeah you can come back and you can give me my comeuppance, but I don't think it's going to happen. The top guys are going to start. They're going to take out that stooge. They're starting their revenge tour, and they will come back strong for their AEW tag team titles. But next week they take on Jurassic Express. We're also going to see Darby Allin defend the TNT Championship against Brian Cage. We've already talked about that. We're going to see Serena Deeb, champion, the NWA Women's World Champion, and she's going to defend her title against Tay Conti. And Tay is going to have the Dark Order in her in her corner in her defense with her as she comes out for her championship match, which is going to be really interesting. I know that that's been a big play for a while. Obviously, Anna Jay trying to get her best friend Tay to join the Dark Order. Are the Dark Order ranks growing? We'll see. Also, the last thing besides the Inner Circle's New Year's resolution, um, and what their resolutions are going to be being advertised, we got an advertisement saying that the Elite was going to be in action, which is really interesting because since Kenny has turned heel. Kenny is running with Don Callis. He's making his stops in Impact, there's not really been much of a connection between him and the Young Bucks on TV. So, when I saw that the Elite was going to be in action next week, I was pretty shocked. I didn't know what to really expect. With that, we go into the main event, Tyler.
For the AEW World Championship, Ray Phoenix versus Kenny Omega, the champion. I mean, I mean,
What do you
I was
what do you
going.
think about Kenny's entrance?
I the two girls sweeping was over much was too overdone or whatever for me. But I mean, I like it. I mean, I understand why they did it. Um, does that answer your question?
Well, I mean, I was just curious what your thoughts were. I I I didn't know. I mean, you keep your ear low to the streets. You're a man of the streets and a man of the people and the man of the dirt sheets. Um, what's the connection between Kenny Omega and North Carolina? Sorry, what's the connection between Kenny Omega and North Carolina?
Oh, you're talking about the introduction.
Well, yeah, I mean, just his
Oh
entrance as a
yeah, I
whole.
was
That
I was
whole
half I was half paying attention to that. It was like something crazy. He's like talking about, he doesn't live in Winnetoba, Canada, but
Winnetoba.
yeah.
He's from Winnipeg, you idiot. Oh my gosh.
uh, but yeah, but he still he still said it was nice. Um, but
Well,
nah, I
well,
mean, did I miss
any
something? I mean, obviously I don't.
no,
Obviously I don't listen to entrances because I don't. I mean, most.
I'm just trying to find somebody who's smarter than me that can help me make a connection because for weeks now,
But you know I'm
since
not that.
Kenny's since well maybe the two people that listen to the show can help us out because since Kenny
I think
has
I think this is
this
it.
since Kenny has this extended entrance, Justin Roberts is running through his list of accomplishments and accolades and this and that. Um, one of the big connections every single week is something about Kenny either not being from or having the show televised or whatever. There's always this weird connection with North Carolina. And I have no idea what it means. And maybe I just need to ask the fine wrestling fans of Reddit and they'll be able to tell us. But I didn't know if you knew something that I did not. And apparently you don't. So
Hold on. As we speak, I am asking Jeeves that. So let's see what he says.
you're asking Jeeves. Jeeves hasn't been relevant since 2002.
He says it's a tribute to the Chicago Bulls and how they treated Michael Jordan during their entrance. It's from the man himself.
Oh,
Like
so it's
North
so it's
Carolina.
so
What
it's
a stooge!
so
Calling
is that
himself the
Kenny's?
greatest of all time. What a stooge! Gosh, gosh. Oh my
Hey,
gosh. Oh
look,
my
you can.
gosh.
Hey, here's the thing. You can be upset with that, but he is a world's champion in two promotions in two different countries right now. So, and he's defended both titles within the last month, as in the last 30 days.
Well, obviously, Kenny Omega had a Kenny Omega match. Did all the Kenny Omega stuff. Ray Phoenix, phenomenal as well. But I mean, did that match surprise you? I mean, the results didn't, but I mean, that's kind of like what I would expect: high flying, nonstop, action. Taking thrills to the outside and the inside as well.
I mean, it's a great match. It shows the versatility of Kenny Omega. He can do anything in the ring. He can do strong style. He can do lucha libre. And it highlighted just how good Ray Phoenix is. Um, I mean, these two have already had classics. Kenny obviously defeated Ray for the AAA Mega Championship. Um,
They
and
they wrestled
they've,
on
they,
they wrestled on AEW TV before, right?
I believe they've had maybe one other encounter. I think that they may have even had um, may have potentially even been a part of like a six-man tag match where Kenny was teaming with the Elite and they were going up against like the Lucha Brothers and somebody else. Um, so they've not. This is not their first rodeo in the ring together, and it just shows how good both of these guys are. I think it's very easy that Ray Phoenix could be the world champion in AEW. I think that obviously there are several guys on this roster who could be holding that main championship, the number one championship at any time. Um, it was a great match, and especially going, again, trying to think about the way AEW set up New Year's Smash Night 1, them trying to compete head to head with NXT, because you got to think about it. On the other channel on USA, you've got Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor Part 2. Um, so, I think as far as like wrestling match, like this match was really great. Um, did it surprise me? No. Did what happened after surprise me? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Kenny Omega won with a one wing angel, and
What
oh,
did you what did you think about?
hold on, we forgot to mention that Pac and or Pac did they what did they say how you officially pronounce it?
They've been saying Pack.
Pac, okay, and Penta L0M. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yes.
They were. I forgot to mention this. Like before the match started, they were talking Ray Phoenix up, saying, "Yeah, he's going to be the man. He's going to beat you, Kenny Omega." And then after the match, Don Callis, I guess manager slash dad figure of Kenny Omega, grabbed the microphone and they showed Eddie Kingston and Butcher and the Blade beating down on those two. And then the beatdown continued when Omega was going to try to beat down Phoenix. And then our boy, the real man, John Moxley, came out with a barbed wire bat and just starting going at it with Omega. And then what happened next, Mark?
Well, after that, and quick pause because um, in that pre-match promo with Pac and Death Triangle, they were like, they're taking the high road, the baby face road. We're gonna let Phoenix go alone because we know he's capable of winning the championship. We see how that kind of backfired. One for Phoenix, but also for Death Triangle as a whole, getting attacked by Butcher and the Blade and the family. Um, cool little twist, way to advance that storyline without really Eddie Kingston and those guys having
To affect
a
the
match on night one
that are
of
affecting the match as well.
right. So that's cool. Um, really glad that as much as possible, you haven't really seen any kind of dusty finishes in AEW, so that's a cool thing to see. And then Moxley comes out. Moxley's laying waste to Kenny Omega. Um, evens the playing field with the barbed wire bat. When out of nowhere come Gallows and Anderson
No,
from.
didn't the Young
What
Bucks
do you
come out
mean
first?
no? No, Gallows and
My
Anderson came
bad.
out
Sorry.
first.
You're right.
Um, which also I think it should be mentioned at the beginning of the match. Excalibur made mention of Kota Ibushi winning the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship at Wrestle Kingdom. I thought that was pretty wild. Again, and we talked about this last week, but I'm glad that AEW likes to recognize wrestling outside of themselves. Um, just wanted to throw that in real quick. Comeback. Moxley's getting beat up. Gallows and Anderson, the Good Brothers, come in. They make the save on Omega. They all come in. They beat down Moxley. Kenny takes the bat from the ring mat, and he's bleeding. He's bleeding from a couple of those barbed wire bat shots, and they lay waste to Moxley. Obviously Jr. and Excalibur and Tony are like, "What the heck is going on? Somebody's got to go in and stop these guys." And meanwhile, the whole time they're making mention that Anderson and Gallows, they're not contracted wrestlers. They don't work here, and so it's interesting to see. Okay, here's the first time outside of Don Callis coming in and being a part of AEW television. Here are the first two Impact guys coming, being on AEW television, making their presence known. And so at this point, you've got a Biz Cliz reunion, a Bullet Club reunion in the United States in a promotion that's not Ring of Honor, which obviously was connected and might still be connected with New Japan. So Moxley or not Moxley, Moxley's getting beat down by Omega and the Good Brothers, who have been running back and forth on Impact. Obviously, they're going to be in a six-man main event for the Impact pay-per-view coming up on Genesis. But they're going to be battling against the Motor City Machine Guns and Rich Swann. Um, but they're holding the ring tall. They're beating down Moxley. Obviously, everybody from the floor tries to come in and help Moxley, and those guys just beat everybody down. They beat them down, send them out, and at that point, the Young Bucks come in. Here come two other EVPs, and they're trying to help figure out what's going on. They're trying to make sense of the situation. And right as the show is about to close, uh, Kenny and Gallows and Anderson, they throw up the too sweet, and the Bucks are really thrown off by this. Um, at one point, before this too sweet happens, the Hollywood blonde or the new blondes, you know, Griff Garrison, Pillman Jr. are the last two to be standing tall, trying to make the save with Moxley for Moxley. But they take a couple of super kicks, and at that point, obviously the Good Brothers and Omega, they're throwing up the too sweet. Callis is standing there, he's throwing up the too sweet, and the Bucks join in. The Bucks throw up the too sweet, and the Biz Cliz, after all of these years, are reunited. And I saw this on online last night slash this morning. I thought this was really interesting that these same five were really the core of the Bullet Club, especially after AJ Styles was leaving New Japan to go to WWE. And so right before Gallows and Anderson made their split, when Kenny became the new leader of the Bullet Club, he overtook and made it his own. Um, it was these five that were really in the leading positions of where Bullet Club was going. And obviously, some people will come in and try to say, well, what about the Tongas and this and that? But like these five were part of that core group of what helped explode Bullet Club to that next level. And that's how the show closes. We see that too sweet in the air and just being left with more questions than answers. But dude, I freaked out. What an
Uh,
incredible end.
honestly, me man, this is like the outsiders teaming up with NWOB team. Like, I get what you're saying, Mark, but this ain't Lear's not Prince Devitt, Finn Balor. Lear's not AJ Styles. I mean, there's no like what you said, Tonga. Like, I don't know. It's cool to see because I feel no, not really. I don't know what the hell's going on because AEW, like, I guess the inner circle, since they're not doing anything, they need another faction to be the main faction. But also storyline wise, why the hell are the Young Bucks doing this? This is like Vince McMahon back in 2002 or whatever. He's going to inject his own company with poison. Like, why? I mean, obviously they're probably going to talk about it next week, but
Well, but
it's
I
a
mean,
cool
you could say
It
the
was a
same
cool.
thing about Kenny though, because
Yeah,
Kenny's also
Kenny.
an EVP. So,
But like, I don't understand. Like, they're gonna have like this some BS reasoning of we want to make wrestling better or something like that. Like, I don't even know like what the reason possible. I don't even know what the reasoning is, and just
and
I don't
that's
know.
why you got to go along for the ride.
I to me, man, like it's hard to. I like the idea of it, but it's like I said, like I'm just gonna say this: I don't like Kenny Omega, and I don't like the Young Bucks. Kenny Omega is a phenomenal wrestler, but I don't like their style of wrestling. I hate it. They're phenomenal athletes and everything like that. And when it's like what I like, I'd rather watch a Kenny Omega match than a Young Bucks match. At least Kenny has proven that he is like what you said. He can wrestle multiple styles. The Young Bucks can't. And to me, it's
Well, that's
just
debatable.
no, they can't. They force teams to wrestle their style. Look at FTR. Hell, they force a concussed guy to wrestle their style. Good inning. I mean, honestly, it gets you. I mean, it's getting people to talk. You want to know why they want to do it, and it's gonna be interesting to see because I mean, could they do something on Impact as well, like them showing up on Impact? Because that could also open the door to other matchups as well.
Well, I think that's what we're getting to, and I think that that's the way things are moving. Obviously, if people have been following Impact, obviously Kenny's been making appearances every week. Kenny's finally gotten a little more hands-on as far as like having interactions that aren't on like a tour bus on television. Um, with the most recent Impact, there was a scene, or not a scene, but there's a moment near the end of the show where Motor City Machine Guns and Rich Swann are like leaving the building. That's when they get jumped by Omega and the Good Brothers. And again, this feud's been setting up. Omega talked early on when he was on Impact with Don Callis about how he's kind of on this like, I think I want to go for like a run of championship gold. Like it's almost like a tour of championship gold. So I don't know if he's trying to set himself up to also challenge for the Impact World Championship at some point. That remains to be seen, especially depending on how this six-man main event goes on Genesis. Um, but I think that the door is opening more and more, and I think that especially in this time, in this day and age of professional wrestling, if the partnership can remain beneficial for both sides, then I think it's a great thing for pro wrestling. And it leaves us fans, and granted, a lot of these guys who are in AEW, I'm sure the majority of AEW fans have been following them for a long time, so it's like they've seen Bucks and Motor City Machine Guns, or they've seen um, a lot of these like quote unquote dream matches, but the door's open for potentially a match of like the North versus FTR if the North can stay together as a tag team. Um, Maybe you even get, and I don't know what they'll call this faction now. It's not like they can call them the Bullet Club, but everybody knows that that's what they are essentially. Um, is this setting up for the blood and guts match we never got because COVID destroyed the elite versus the inner circle match? Um, that could turn into a thing where it's like this group of Omega and the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks start to run roughshod in AEW, and the inner circle's like, this is our show. That could lead to a blood and guts match. There's a lot of possibilities that can come from this. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to go along for the ride. I'm strapped in. I'm in the roller coaster. My hands are up, and I'm just ready to scream "wee."
What role do you think Cody will have if he even has one?
I don't know if he will. Um, Obviously Cody has his own faction in the Nightmare Family. Um, he's had moments of interacting
The
like on
Stooges.
on screen. He's had moments on screen of interacting with the elite. Um, one of my favorite moments more recently though, there was back in the fall, I believe there was it was on BTE, and they had this scene on BTE where a lot of the wrestlers were all together, and Cody was there, and there was this back and forth between Cody and Matt Jackson, and at one, and it was just so funny because Matt jokingly, but also like I think just the way that all their schedules run, it is more difficult for Cody to be on BTE the way that he used to be, and so um, they. But Matt kind of joked about it. He's like, "Are you even in the elite anymore?" He's like, "We never see you. You never hang out with us. You don't do anything with us." Um, so I don't know. I don't know if Cody will get involved. Um, I don't see why he would. That doesn't mean I don't want him to. I think it would be great for him to. I just don't see that happening because I think Cody is more focused on trying to build the Nightmare family, which sometimes does things and sometimes doesn't.
So what was your thoughts on the show?
Great night. I mean, great night of night one for New Year's Smash. Really set the table high. You know, set the bar high as far as where AEW wants to go for the year. I'm excited. I'm interested to see where night two goes and how that works out. I'm also interested and I guess fascinated. And again, when you think about the counter programming aspect of you have to go against New Year's Evil, and you've got Balor O'Reilly too. So it's not like you can counter that with Darby Allen and Brian Cage for the TNT Championship on night one. Um, so I understand why you move the TNT Championship to night two. Um, it would have been cool to see the World Championship like close New Year's, like close the show on night two. But I understand why you have that match on night one. It has me really excited to see, especially with um, like we talked about before, like with the setup for night two, what was going to happen on night two, and they talked about the elite being in action. Does that mean that we're going to see Kenny and the Bucks, or will we see Kenny and the Good Brothers with the Bucks in their corner? I'm excited to see how that plays out. But I thought night one was solid action.
NXT New Year's Evil. Okay, let's talk about New Year's Evil NXT.
I will say, as we get into the NXT card, I'm reminded, having watched NXT kind of spottily more recently until now, and even WWE as a whole, and that's a different story for a different day. But I do appreciate like the production value in NXT. I think NXT just looks really clean and really crisp. Um, and obviously, Triple H and the gang do a really great job with NXT. And I just thought that New Year's Evil looked really good. I love the fact I know that he's been back on commentary for a while, but I love the fact that Wade Barrett is back in WWE doing commentary.
Giving them
I
a
wish
Barrett barrage.
I wish that he, was still competing, but I understand why, he's moved on to commentary and he's moved on to you know, a new phase in his career. Um, so yeah, big Barrett fan. I mean, he deserved more than what he got, but I'm glad that he's on commentary with NXT, especially since Morrow is no longer around. I know Vic does a really good job. Um, so I like that team. Beth is good.
I
I
disagree.
would prefer. Well, I mean, she's
I don't
okay.
no, like I don't
I would
understand
prefer two man booth.
that, but like I don't care if it was 3 man. Just like, what's the point if she's not going to be there? What's the point? I understand they probably want to do something with her in the future, but I mean, dude, like it's weird, like how when they talk, like when the announcers are talking, and Vic, is that his name?
Yeah, Vic Joseph.
Yeah, Vic. He doesn't even like mention Beth Phoenix. He just says, "Here, I'm blah blah blah. This beside me is Wade Barrett." And that's it. And it's just kind of no. It's just
Yeah,
kind of weird. Like it just seems like they don't even like. I know they talk to with her, but it just seems like it's like she forces her way into it. You get what I'm saying? Like it feels like you can obviously tell. Or listen, that's a two. There's two people at ringside. You know, it just because like it just seems like she's like I don't know. It's hard to explain it, but it's like kind of like not lateness, but it just feels like it's less organic. Well, I feel like Vic is going to go to Wade Barrett more just because he's right beside him.
it is very strange. I've never really understood that. Um, I mean, hopefully, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I think a two man booth would be just fine. Um, that's all I gotta say about that.
All right, the show started off with the Damian Priest versus Karrion Cross with Scarlett match. Pretty good. I really like Damian Priest. Um, don't know much about Karrion Cross. I mean, other than that he used to be killer, and obviously he was NXT champion for a little bit. But I don't know. Like with the more I watch of Killian, it's like I'm starting to like him more and more. Like I didn't really kind of like him at the
Did you say
start.
Killian or Carrion?
By Killian. Um, but like I mean, I understand why he won an NXT championship because they went, Keith Lee was going to the NX to WWE, but like I thought it was too soon because he only debuted like 6 months before that or something like that. But then he got hurt, and him and Damian Priest just went at it. Damian Priest kind of held his own. I think one of the first few NXT guys to really help hold his own against Cross, but still lose in the end.
Right. I thought this was, a pretty solid match. I'm interested to see um, what happens with Priest moving forward. Obviously, you've got to get Cross back going. I mean, you essentially strapped a rocket to him coming in that quickly, winning the NXT championship, and obviously he had to give it up due to injury, which is never good. Um, but I think that yeah, I think him and Scarlett are money. Um, be really interested to see how they carry forward.
Hmm. So, you want to read the next two results since Hulu decided to take them out for you?
Yeah, I will. So, I watched it on Hulu, so I missed these matches. Obviously, the next match was well, I guess we got a backstage segment talking about the Dusty Road Classic and the teams that were going to be announced for that. Um,
Which we will
then
get
there
to
might
later.
have might have been another promo. I'm not sure. What I'm seeing here is that there was an Adam Cole Undisputed Era promo talking about
How they're going to do good in the Dusty Rhodes Classic, talking up Kyle O'Reilly, and that's when I'm having a brain fart. No, oh, Dexter Loomis, the host. That's when I think someone announced that next week. Oh, not, they didn't say a date, did they? I'm not sure. That there's also going to be a women's Dusty Rhodes Classic as well.
I think that one came later, but yes.
Well,
Um,
wasn't that during the same promo?
no, that's not what I'm seeing at all. What
Ah,
I'm seeing is
guys, this is
Adam
what
Cole.
happens when you watch like 8 hours of wrestling in
What I what
three
I'm what
days.
I'm seeing what I'm seeing is Adam Cole. Adam Cole talked about fulfilling the golden prophecy, where Undisputed Era would win back all the NXT championships, um, and how he and Roderick Strong were going after the tag titles. Obviously, Kyle O'Reilly trying to win the NXT championship himself, and uh, O'Reilly was going to kickstart that, uh, fulfilling the golden prophecy tonight. Um, and then obviously, Cole talked about how he and Roddy are going to win their first round matchup against Breezango, and how they're just going to go on and win that tournament. Um, Move into the NXT Championship or NXT Cruiserweight Championship match, which was Grand
Oh no no
Metalik.
no no no.
That's dude. I could be wrong, but this is what I'm seeing on this website that I'm trying to read from.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Golly, you can tell our show prep is outstanding.
Yeah.
So Grand Metalik with Lance Dorado wrestled against Santos Escobar with Legado del Fantasma. Um, is that a match that you
It was a
watched,
match.
Tyler?
It was a match. I mean,
Yeah, I did not see this on Hulu, so I did not know that it
it was
existed.
pretty much. I don't know. It just seemed like since this is kind of like a takeover show, big show, and since the cruiserweight title is now the NXT cruiserweight championship, I feel they kind of forced this on there. I don't. I would have. They should have started out with this match and not the Priest Cross match. If I had to switch it because I feel like this match where I don't know. I didn't care about it. after that match. I probably would have cared about it if they did it at the start, but also, I mean, Escobar has held that title for a long time, and this it just seemed like they just wanted to put a cruiserweight title. Like Malik had like no chance. I mean, I guess you can say since he beat the Miz last week on Raw, but I mean, it was kind of one of those just not petty, just random matchups.
Right. I
You
will agree with you because I couldn't watch it. So I've never understood why the cruiserweight championship got moved to NXT. I think
They still have
ever
the same show.
since,
I think
well, I think the WWE have just completely butchered the whole cruiserweight division after its initial tournament. And I think it speaks to just a larger problem in the fact that I mean, and WWE is so big and they're growing bigger, and so that because they're growing bigger, their talent roster is getting bigger, and it's just easier for more guys to get lost in that shuffle. And the whole cruiserweight division essentially got lost in that shuffle, and it I don't know. It just is. It's a hard thing I think for people to get caught up on, especially because I think obviously now the cruiserweight division has found a home in NXT, but for the longest time it's like, okay, part of the cruiserweight stuff is going to be on Raw, and then we're going to have a match on SmackDown, and we're going to tape the ropes blue, we're going to change everything, and then we're going to do 205 Live, and it's like, just put the cruiserweight somewhere, let them do their thing, and it will work fine. And I don't know why it hasn't. I really don't. The next match, I'm definitely going to butcher this name. I'm going to try not to.
so. I want you to say
Z,
it.
I want to say it's Xi Lee, um, with Boa versus Katrina Cortez.
Nothing.
Um,
Squash. Lee
Squash match.
Lee won.
Lee gets the win. Um, and then after that, we do get a promo.
I
Well,
will
if you
say
watched,
this: she came out like with size, and I don't know. It seems like to me, like every time I see like a Steve Blackman like wrestler, I just think they're the lamest thing. Cause she was like doing like those crazy karate kicks with the size and stuff.
right.
I'm like, girl, you learn all this size stuff. You should have been learning like I don't know the Texas sharpshooter or something.
That's
But
fair.
all right, you want to continue?
Yeah, from there we get well, if you watched NXT on USA, you would get a little backstage promo with William Regal, announcing that Timothy Thatcher is unable to
Mm-hmm.
compete due to sustaining a minor injury, and once he heals, he'll face Tommaso Ciampa in the fight pit. We see some kind of other promo thing with Bronson Reed. He
No,
puts his
that was the
London.
weirdest thing. It was just it was really just hyping like yeah. I mean I can't do the accent, but like yeah, I've been hurt, but now I'm back. But you know who's even a bigger badass? Rhea Ripley. It was to the effect of that. But last woman last woman standing match: Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Gonzalez. Best match of either companies tonight.
You think so?
Yes.
I thought it was really good, really, really good. I have not seen a lot of Gonzalez's work. Um, my gosh, I was really impressed with her. I thought that her and Ripley told a really great story, and yeah, like that match. I will say I'm glad that Hulu showed most of it, and I got the full experience of that. So I was glad. It was a great match. I'm glad I got to watch that one. Probably makes me sound like a hypocrite because I skipped one on one show and not the other. Um, so be it. But this was a great match, and I'm glad that it did not get skipped.
Yeah, they pretty much brawled all over the place, took apart, some of the stage, even went backstage where Rhea Ripley speared Raquel foot through a door that broke the glass. I liked it how, oh, she also did like a dive off of storage containers through like with Raquel on the I guess lunch table or something. It was a table, and she dove went through the table on her, and she got up and she was getting ready to win the match. You know, with the ref getting close to, I think he was on 8 or something, and then Dakota Kai came out of nowhere and just going start hitting Ripley with a cane, and yeah, I thought it was pretty funny how to get rid of Dakota. I mean, obviously she beat. I did like it how Rhea Ripley put Dakota Kai in the locker. I thought that was pretty cool, and also kind of puts her in that story as well without having a big impact. I mean, she did have a big impact, but not as big. But yeah, the Gonzalez won with a single arm power bomb, and when she slammed Rhea Ripley through the stage on the side through the ramp. Is that correct?
Right, and both competitors were down. Gonzalez got up right at the end of 10. It was like 9 9/10 that she got to her feet, and then the count of 10, she dropped to a knee, but she was victorious in the match. And I think, like we kind of talked about, those two have a deep history. I think it told a great story, and I think it really set Gonzalez up to be the next woman that really dominates the NXT Women's Division.
If you go back to last week's episode, you will hear it first from me. Um, then came out. This is another thing that Mark missed. Johnny Gargano and The Way came out. You also missed like with their picture, the picture they had the police because last week was Gargano. He broke the Gargano curse um, against Leon Ruff, winning a title defense as a champion. And for some reason I think they said that they were doing it to clean up the ring from after the Gonzalez Ripley match. But they did a picture in picture and they're just showing the convoy of like the police with The Way. Then The Way had a promo saying how they're the best, and Johnny Gargano said that he broke the curse like the Cleveland Browns are going to do this weekend, which they're not going to
Yes,
do.
sir. Dog check.
And I think Candice LeRae said something about Shotzi Blackheart. I don't know. Shotzi Blackheart came out with her stupid tank, and Austin Theory went out of the ring and started saying, "Hey, Shotzi, calm down or get out of the way." Blah blah blah. And her tank shot a missile at Austin Theory's groin area, so that hurt for him. And then Samuel Loomis did a
Dexter?
Dexter
Did you
Loomis.
say Daniel?
I'm I'm getting him confused because wasn't he used to be Samuel Shaw in TNA?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, good on him, man. He looks convincing as a killer. Uh, but came out and said, "You guys are going to have a tag team match," and so Gargano and Candice LeRae face. Oh, Kudushi came out. I'm sorry. Kudushi.
Kadushi?
Yeah, Kudushi. I don't care. I don't care. I don't
Kushida.
care. He's just a freaking Back to the Future ripoff. And Shotzi Blackheart, they had a match, and Shotzi and Back to the Future ripoff won. You didn't miss much.
Yeah, I don't have
I
any
think
comments on that.
I think Hulu's the way to watch it because
Because the next thing,
if I'm telling these stories poorly, I don't think anything happened.
the next thing that I saw after the last woman standing match was a backstage promo with William Regal talking more about the Dusty Classic, and then Loomis arises from behind William Regal, and Regal goes on to say, "We will also finally have our first women's Dusty Classic," which I think is a great idea. It's long overdue. Um, if you're gonna do it for the men, you might as well go ahead and do one for the women, especially since uh, there's a deep women's division in NXT and in just WWE as a whole. So pretty cool to see what that's gonna look like, as well as the regular Dusty Classic and how that will play out. We also get news that the next takeover is going to return on Valentine's Day, February 14th. Um, so we'll see how that's gonna play out and build up. And we'll see just how that takeover takes, you know, how it comes into being.
As Mark mentioned earlier in the podcast, the main event was O'Reilly Balor Part 2. Uh, Pretty damn good. I would say on the level as the first one, but I don't know, just for me it didn't something was missing. Still an awesome match.
Well, I think, and I'm really heartbroken that before that match, we do see the NXT Tag Team Champions, Oni Lorcan
Oh yeah.
and Danny Burch, are in the front row with Pete Dunne. They're just missing our fearless leader, the Pat McAfee.
But it's a good sign
Um,
though.
but it's a great sign that the boys are still together. Hopefully, um, I would love to see them win the gold. 2021. This is what I want for NXT. I want Lorcan and Birch to be the tag champions. I want Pete to win the NXT title, and when Pete wins the NXT title, that's when Pat comes back, and Pat takes the North American Championship for the brand. The brand runs NXT. Book it, make it happen. I'll write the story. Give me the money. Let's go to the pay window. Can't believe you didn't mention that. But anyway, O'Reilly Balor, um, really great match, really technical. Obviously, O'Reilly has his martial arts backgrounds, and he wanted to try to keep the match on the mat. Because if you keep the match on the mat, then Balor can't be running around doing his high octane offense that he has. Um, and I think we do see a really interesting um, moment early on in the match where Balor has O'Reilly's mouth on the ropes, and he kicks him in the back of the head, injuring O'Reilly's mouth and jaw. Um, just seeing that interconnection with their first match at Takeover, and I think that they told a really great story just as far as like these injuries that have been staying throughout the match and just continuing to build on that previous history that these two already have and trying to see, Balor's reigning supreme over NXT. Can Kyle finally get over the hump and win that singles gold like he knows that he's capable of? And unfortunately, it just wasn't his night.
Do you think that will kind of lead to something, or do you think he'll just tag with Fish forever? Bobby Fish forever?
Well, I I don't know. It remains to be seen. I don't know how long. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Fish sustained an injury inside the War Games match. So I don't know how long he will potentially be out from that. Um, I think O'Reilly's singles future depends on the future of the Undisputed Era. Um, if they're going to keep Undisputed Era together, I think that it would make more sense to probably have Adam Cole be that lead in the group. But I guess Cole could still lead the group and be a tag team champion to let O'Reilly or Fish take your main champion and then Bobby be North American champion. But I think for the time being, Kyle. I mean, Kyle will probably still wrestle singles matches, probably do some 6-man stuff, or maybe tag with the Undisputed Era just until Fish comes back, and then we'll see what happens.
You want to talk about the teams confirmed for the male Dusty Rhodes Classic since that starts next week? Kind of give a preview of what NXT has to offer.
Yeah, let's do it. Do you have that pulled up, or do I need to pull up the list?
Uh, I can get it.
I know that one matchup is Undisputed Era. Cole and Roddy against Breezango, which I'm excited about. I think that'll be a good match. Um, I like Breezango. I feel like they should have had a bigger run on SmackDown and on the main roster than what they did. But
Hey man, at least just be glad, just be happy it happened. Don't be sad
yeah,
that it
that's
ended
right. I
because
am happy that it happened.
when was because look at all those look at all those teams that we all love that never won the title. The Hype Bros.
Don't don't you even dare. That frickin' stooge.
But
He's a stooge.
dude, I can't find a list.
So here's the list that I see. It's not in the bracket form. The only thing that I see is it talks about this. This talks about how Undisputed Era will face Breezango next week. But the teams that I see for the Dusty Rhodes Classic are the Undisputed Era, represented by Cole and Strong, Ever Rise, August Gray and Kurt Stallion, Breezango, Imperium, Killian Dane and Drake Maverick. And then you have, or no, I'm sorry. Why is that written the way that it is? Let me find something. Let me find another article because that one looks really strange. Um, do, 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 do. Here we go. So the following. So there are 10 teams for the official tournament. Um, well, or maybe it's this year. What? No, this is strange. So these are the teams that we know for sure. The first two matches of the opening round of the Dusty Classic will be next week, and we'll see the Grizzled Young Vets versus Everrise, and of course, like we've already mentioned, we have the Undisputed Era versus Breezango. So those two matches will be the first two matches of the tournament. We'll see those next week. The other teams that we have that will be a part of the tournament are Jake Atlas and Isaiah Scott. We've got The Way, Austin Theory, and Johnny Gargano. We've got the Grizzled Young Vets, James Drake and Zach Gibson. We've got Everrise, Chase Parker, and Matt Martell. We've got Legado del Fantasma, Joe Quinn Wild, and Raul Mendoza. We've got Imperium, Marcel Barthel, and Fabian Eichner. We've got Drake Maverick and Killian Dane and Kurt Stallion and August Gray, all announced currently.
What's your thoughts on the show?
Well,
Big as
I
evil.
obviously I had a very condensed version. I thought the condensed version was really good. I appreciate it. I will say I appreciated how short um, Hulu made it. I mean, I think I watched the whole thing in an hour. I watched most of it at work, and then I finished up the main event at home. I did appreciate the fact that the main event went commercial free. I think that's a really great way to broadcast and make main importance of your main World's Championship. And so I do appreciate the fact that WWE NXT was able to produce that match that way. That's like we're going bell to bell, no commercials, all action, no picture in picture. The championship is the championship, and that's what you're getting. I think that was really good. I thought probably my favorite match of the night. I do agree with you as far as the NXT side of New Year's Evil. Match of the night was the last woman standing match. Ripley and Gonzalez just told an incredible story, beat the crap out of each other. I wouldn't even want to come across either of those women in broad daylight on the sidewalk, let alone in a last one, last person standing match in an empty arena, so or a nearly empty arena. But I thought that match, from what I saw, it stood out as the top match for NXT.
Definitely, definitely a good show. I enjoyed kind of what both companies had offered yesterday or on Wednesday. Hopefully they continue to bring that same type of action and attitude throughout the entire rest of the year, and hopefully just continue to build off of it. Maybe one day we'll see Moxley on the Go Big show. That's hopefully hopefully we see the undisputed era.
Is his talent going to be mastering titties?
That, or hopefully we can see like the undisputed era on Chris Lee Knows Best. That'd be really really cool.
No, if anything, the undisputed era should show up on Ms. and Mrs.
Speaking of good stuff, on Monday and Tuesday, New Japan had their Wrestle Kingdom 15, and Mark failed this part of the podcast. I'm disappointed. I told him, like, I can't believe you done this. You let everybody down, but you let me down.
Yeah, I almost got fired, and I reminded Tyler that I put my name first in the podcast title. So,
Yeah. Yeah, but no, I mean, obviously I didn't watch it live, but watched.
well, regardless, obviously, since you were the one that watched, why don't you tell us before we get into the nitty gritty, or at least kind of, I think maybe at least kind of run through, maybe just running through the results and things that stuck out to you in the matches, you can let us know. But what were your thoughts of your first Wrestle Kingdom?
It wasn't my first one, but it's been a
Well,
while. It's been a while, but like
what were your
this is
thoughts
my
about
second
this
one.
Wrestle Kingdom then?
I'm gonna say it's kind of hard for me to judge, this event because going by off of wrestling, it was awesome, but like only time I really pay attention to New Japan is through Reddit, and that's not or like Twitter, and it's not really I'm tuning in every week or like knowing the like what's the main storylines. So it was kind of hard to gauge that because like I know the Okada Will Ospreay match was going to be awesome. The Ibushi not Nato, did I pronounce that right?
Close enough.
I knew that was going to be good. Um, I honestly wish that match was the main event of the second one. Uh, I really didn't like Ibushi's and Jay White match. It was a good match, but like I don't know. I'm just gonna say I don't like Jay White. Um,
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Why?
I don't know. I just feel like he's a stooge. He's just a I don't know. I just don't like him. He's a phenomenal wrestler, but I just can't get it. It just seems to me like he just kind of just lingers off of that Bullet Club name, and I understand he was good in Ring of Honor and stuff, but I don't know. I just can't get that connection with him. But the yeah, on the first day, no, I need you to say this because I'm going to butcher some of these names.
Okay, well, here's what we'll do. Well, I'm gonna just run through the results. If there's anything that sticks out to you, you can step in and interject. Obviously, night one kicked off with a 21-man New Japan Rambo to determine who will
I
challenge.
uh, this was the first time I ever seen something like that. I like that. I like the idea of adding to the Royal Rumble of like pinfall submission. I really like that. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. So this Rambo determined who would challenge for the provisional KOPW 2021 trophy on night two. That's the King of Pro Wrestling Championship. Um, the four men advancing into that match for night two were Chase Owens, Bad Luck Fale, Bushi, and Toru Yano.
Mhm.
Or Toru Yano, sorry.
First
So
time I
obviously you
first time
go
I ever
ahead.
seen Chase Owens, and honestly, like tomorrow, like the next event I seen him, but I don't want to see him again.
That's fair. Anything else?
No, no, I just hate these freaking. Go ahead.
The next match on the card was a singles match to determine who will challenge for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship on night two, featuring Hiromu Takahashi. He was the Best of the Super Juniors
He's
winner,
cool. I like him. He's really
and
cool.
he was facing El Phantasmo, the Super J Cup winner,
The Super
and
Stooge.
Hiromu Takahashi gets the win, 17 minutes 46 seconds.
First time I ever seen him. Don't want to see him again. He just. Same thing with Chase Owens. They just look like Kenny Omega, AJ Styles ripoffs because they're just
Talking
part of the
about Phantasmo.
yeah Phantasmo. And then I understand what Kevin Kelly is saying, but I hate it like where oh my gosh, El Phantasmo, One Wing Angel as an homage to the former leader. It's lame. It's stupid, and I wish the Bullet Club would just end.
You know,
Um,
it's never gonna end as they keep bringing that money, pal. You know that. I mean, I think just from looking at the results, it's good to see Takahashi get a win.
yeah, dude,
Obviously, he's a big
he's he looks. I like him. He's cool.
he's a big favorite in New Japan, that's for sure. He's been very dominant in the juniors division for a long time. Um, cool to see him go on to challenge for the junior heavyweight championship on night two. The next match we see the Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga Tangaloa
I guess
with Gato.
the only OGs of Bullet Club left there.
Well, you've got Fale. Fale was
Okay,
part of
gotcha.
that. Fale was actually part of like the original with Fergal and Anderson. So, but Gorillas of Destiny defeated the Dangerous Trekkers or Tekkers. I don't know why I always want to say Trekkers. The Dangerous Tekkers, Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. So new tag team champions
Yep, and I think it was
crowned.
I I think it was either the seventh or the eighth time the Gorillas of Destiny have won it, and I believe that's a record there. It's either sixth or seventh or eighth, seventh or eighth.
Yeah. God have been extremely dominant in the tag team division, that's for sure. Um, and I will say, um, it is kind of interesting to me. You know, a lot of people talk. This is the Gorillas' seventh title reign as IWGP Tag Team Champions, and they are the 88th Tag Team Champions. They currently are ranked number four all time for length of days as tag team champions. Currently holding the titles for 608 plus days. They are only 5 days behind Kingo Kimura and, Tatsumi Fujinami.
Mm.
So,
WWE Hall of Famer.
so here within a week, they will, you know, God will be third all time for IWGP Tag Team Championship reign length, which is pretty cool. And I will say, I think with them winning the titles, it does make it interesting to see. Um, I guess there have been some rumors online about the potential of a Super Show. I know Okada has come out in interviews and how he wants to try to book some kind of like Super Show with multiple promotions, and uh, obviously with everything that AEW and Impact is doing, people are trying to make that link between AEW and Impact and potentially even New Japan, doing some kind of Super Show. Um, will it happen? I don't know. I'm not here to speculate. I haven't even read that much. I've just heard small rumors and rumblings. But going back to our Bullet Club moment now, looking at the totality of Bullet Club and their reach as they're all kind of spread throughout the wrestling world. You've got Gorillas of Destiny as the IWGP Tag Team Champions. You've got the Good Brothers as Impact Tag Team Champions. You've got the Young Bucks as AEW Tag Team Champions. You've got Kenny Omega, who's the AAA Mega Champion and the AEW World Champion. And you've got Finn Balor, Prince Devitt, the OG leader of the Bullet Club, as the NXT champion. And so, Bullet Club, you could very easily say, Bullet Club truly is running the wrestling world. And just like they say Bullet Club's for life, baby. And it's hard to argue with that when all these guys across the world are holding gold. And even though you don't want to admit it, Tyler, that's too sweet. Moving on, Kenta
So
defeated.
good that they can't come up with original stuff.
Yeah,
Speaking of
I'm
Bullet
not even
Club,
gonna,
Kenta.
not even gonna
Yeah,
entertain your petty thought.
speaking of a
Um,
Bullet Club, member
Speaking of Bullet
722.
Club, Kenta defeated Satoshi Kojima to retain his IWGP US Championship challenge rights. It's kind of absurd that he's had to just defend this over and over and over again. It's me really Kenta match. Um, we'll get it one day, I hope. The next match we have the first special match of the evening. Hiroshi Tanahashi, the Ace, defeated Great Khan in one-on-one action, and then
I
the match.
I liked it. Um, my only issue was I don't under first time I ever seen Great Okan. He does this. He does this stupid walk to, like down the ramp, like during his entrance. You know, like how those
Yeah,
those scary characters in horror films or whatever. He does that, but then like once the ring, like once the match starts, he does none of that, and I just think that's
hmm,
stupid. Like what? I don't know. Go ahead. But honest, yeah, great
that's fair.
match. I mean Tanahashi, obviously. I don't know what the Japanese commentary was saying, but the English commentary was saying like how he's like pretty much like near the age of like we're going to see like the last like main events. Tanahashi performing at this level is not going to continue. That's what he pretty much said. So, but I don't know.
Well, if I knew Japanese well enough, I would go and watch the Japanese stream, and I would let you know last next week. But I do not know Japanese well enough to be able to do that. So, um,
Speaking of production, you're talking about that with earlier, dude. Uh, Thankfully I was able to watch a like a not live official like someone let me use their account. Um, Dude, they need to fix that. I'm not. There are times like during like when they showed promos before the match, you know, the promos. Dude,
right.
I'm not asking for translations, but at least put like subtitles because like I mean, for someone like yeah, I should have read up on like what was going on and everything like that. But I mean, they give you the they obviously get show what why these people are fighting. It's just the problem is I don't understand them, and
Yeah,
there was no
you're not getting any depth to the story.
yeah
You're getting that these two are in a story and they're about to wrestle.
yeah, and the only time like I knew what was going on was the Will Osprey match, just because he's British, and like I understand his story.
You
I
can
mean,
at least understand what he was saying.
yeah, I mean like the English commentary of Kevin Kelly, Rocky Romero, and someone else, like they did a phenomenal job of telling you like, hey, this was blah blah blah, and gave you like history of it. But that was my only beef of the two nights really was it was just it was like they were you can tell like they were just using the like you could tell like they only had like one stream because dude like even like when they were talking to announcers like you know like how WWE like shows the announcers like when something's going on or whatever.
Right.
They were just showing the Japanese announcers. Like they weren't even showing Kevin Kelly. So that was
That's
huh?
that's nothing. I was just gonna say that's interesting because I feel like in years past they have at least acknowledged the English announcers, like where they at least tried to set up like their own kind of thing for in between matches, where it's like okay, you're at least seeing like the English booth, like the English speaking booth. Um, so that's interesting to me.
But yeah, phenomenal match. Uh, I mean my only issues with Great O'Con was that stupid walk, but other than that, could be a pretty decent guy.
And of course, the ace is the ace, and he will be the ace. But the true ace, I don't care what people say, the true ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling, The Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, defeated Will Ospreay in looks like the longest match of night one.
Dude, it was good. Second match of the night of the event. Dude, did you see that gif of a crazy spot during that match?
No, I
Okay,
haven't seen
okay.
anything.
Well, if you do want to see this match, this is the one of the matches. Uh, Will Ospreay, like I've seen him here and there, and he was the one that did that gymnastics routine with Ricochet, right, a couple of years ago. That pissed off a lot
Yes.
of people.
Yep.
But uh, in my opinion, this is kind of like his coming out party of how he can be a main event player. You know, he was really able to, like what you say is like able to tell a great story like in the ring, but also like do flashy stuff, but also keep it well rounded and stuff that makes sense. But the craziest spot was, you know how unsturdy those Japanese tables are.
Right.
Well, like they went, I think these were one of the ring announcers, whatever. They were outside the barricade, and they're like, Osprey was standing on like on two tables, and they were, they're doing the battling, like I'm going to suplex you, no, I'm going to suplex you, and somehow Osprey got Okada up, and I'm surprised he didn't bust his butt, but like he was able to like turn him around and do the suplex and went through the table, and that was a crazy spot. It
Dang.
was,
I'll have
yeah,
to check that out for sure.
it was like I was like, holy crap. But
Yeah, I'm
good.
sure. I mean, just looking at the card we preview, even previewing it last week, I think my as far as my thoughts for night one, like that was probably going to be match of the night. If I had to go in and guess, not to take anything away from Ibushi and Naito, those two are phenomenal workers, and I'm sure that their match was really great as well. But I think for me, and maybe it's just because I like Okada a lot, I think the Rainmaker is just like the way that he delivers that lariat is just devastating. And I guess because I'm mesmerized by Okada. I think he's great from the moment you hear those coins fall to the money shooting off. At one point, he had that jacket that mimicked ramen, like cup of noodles cup. Um, I don't know if you've seen that meme, Tyler, but you need to check it out. It's kind of funny. Um,
I've probably seen it, but it's not
Okada
coming straight to my head. Like I've probably seen it on
Okada's
Reddit.
Okada's the real deal, and so I'm not surprised that this match was as good as you say it is.
So main
And then
event.
that leaves us,
Yep.
yeah, that leaves us with the main event for night one. The IWGP Double Champion, Heavy and Intercontinental Champion, Tetsuya Naito defended and was unsuccessful against Kota Ibushi. Obviously, in the Kota Ibushi story arc, this has been a long time coming. Ibushi has been trying to finally challenge that top. They're trying to challenge for and take over that top spot as the world champion. Um, Continually becoming unsuccessful in his attempts, and he finally reached the mountain. What did you see watching that match?
I mean, like I said earlier, I think that was the match of the, whole event. I really wish the Jay White, Ibushi match happened tonight. I mean, day one, and they end on that one. I just felt like it meant something more because, like, from what the announcers were saying, like Naito, this was like something, it's kind of like what you said earlier, like with Ibushi, like this is something that he always wanted to be the champion.
I'm excited to go back and watch that match for sure. Um, I especially like with a lot of the departures Japan has had over the last few years, to still see guys like Ibushi and Naito stay with the company. Um, and when I think of like like that strong style that was really made famous with Nakamura and Okada, and I think that Bushi and Naito. They're like that good mix of we can do strong style, but we can also be quick in the ring and acrobatic and kind of like a jack of all trades when it comes to like what Japanese wrestling is and what people expect it to be. And so Ibushi finally gets to the top of the mountain, and obviously that means that he will defend his new crowned championships on night two. And moving on to night two, the first two matches were Stardom exhibition matches. The first match was a six-woman tag with Queen's Quest featuring Seiya, Kamitani, AZM, and Utami Hayashishita. And they defeated Donna Del Mondo, which features Maika, Natsupoi, and Himeki. Sorry for butchering your names. Um, and then the second Stardom match was just a regular tag match, which featured Donna Del Mondo. Again, I'm guessing that's a big faction for Stardom, with Suri and Yuli or Yulia, and they defeated
Or I don't. What are
Mayu.
you reading?
I'm telling you about what the exhibition
Oh,
matches were. They were dark matches.
I
I'm
don't
not sure why I even
care.
read them.
I didn't really see them.
Sorry, fans, if you like Stardom, it's not like we don't like Stardom, but they're dark matches. So, the first match of night two was the four-way match to crown the provisional King of Pro Wrestling 2021 trophy. Um, Toru Yano defeated Chase Owens, Bad Luck Fale, and Bushi. Anything stick out to you as far as that match? It looks like it was a very quick one.
Yeah, Toro Yano. He seems a pretty like a guy I like to hang out with. Pretty cool. Um, like pretty much the only noteworthy thing was Bad Luck Foul and Chase Owens since they're part of the Bullet Club. They kind of did the typical we're going to team up first, but then as the match goes on, oh, I want to win this match. No, I want to win this match, and I think that's what happened. How Toro won because I think he won with a schoolboy or a roll up or something like that. I didn't
I
care.
see.
Honestly, like when I went through the mat, like the match card of day two, like only I could only remember two of them. That's like, well, I guess this one, but two others, and the rest are just matches to me.
That's fair. Was What were the matches that stick out to you before we work through the rest of the card?
Shingo Tagaga, is that how you pronounce it?
Uh,
Versus
Essentially, yeah, against
versus
Jeff Cobb for the
yeah,
Never
Jeff
Openweight
Cobb,
Championship.
yeah, big meat boys just going at it.
Dude, big sweaty men bumping meat.
Wrestling's just better when it's just guys that are bigger than me. And then the Ibushi Switchblade match.
Okay, I have a thought that I'm gonna ask you about when we get to it. So, after the four-way match for the King of Pro Wrestling trophy, we see Suzuki Gun defeating one or eight to retain the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles, and then um, Tyler, like he's already mentioned, Shingo Tagaki defeated Jeff Cobb to retain the Never Openweight Championship. That just sounds, and I feel like most Never Openweight matches or Never Openweight Championship matches that I've watched, uh, they look painful. Like it's just two dudes just beating the crap out of each other. And I'm guessing that this match was very similar to that.
Yep, like big boys going at it. Just love it, you know.
So
And also, you
I'll
could
be
say that's
interested
kind
to
of
go
like what
back and
Japan is like best known for.
yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Now, I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on this match. The next match is kind of like the last special match of the evening, but this is kind of a grudge match. Evil versus Sonata.
It was a match.
That's literally all you got. It's just it was a
Yeah,
match.
and
It
to me,
wasn't
man,
anything
like
special.
I don't, I don't know, maybe just because I was just so worn out by that time, but I don't know.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, Sonata gets the victory. He goes over Evil, and that leads us to the headlining match of the night,
Oh, I'm
which is
sorry. The 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 junior weight heavyweight championship. Yeah, I remember that one now. He
uh,
Takashi. Yeah, he won
Hiromu
it.
Takahashi.
Yeah, Takahashi. He
Right.
won
That's
it.
that's what we're talking about right now. He
Okay.
defeated um, Taji Ishimori, who I believe he's still known as the Bone Soldier in Bullet
Mhm.
Club. So it's cool to see Takahashi win back the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, I'm looking to see more of Takahashi. I kind of was really like these past two events is like the first time I ever seen him more than just a couple of seconds, on my phone. And
Right.
he was kind of weird at first. I was like, man, I don't like this guy because he kind of looks like kind of drugged out, like during his entrance or just drunk. But the more as the match went on, I was like, man, I like this little dude. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of him.
For sure. And then obviously the main event, closing Wrestle Kingdom, Kota Ibushi successfully defends his IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championships against Jay White. Ibushi in 2 nights wrestles for over an hour. Um, the first night he goes over 31 minutes. The second night he goes for nearly 50 minutes. Um, I'm sure it told a really great story, especially with Jay White trying to regain that heavyweight championship that um, he hasn't held for a while, trying to kind of bring that extra prominence back in a Bullet Club. And um, I think now there are a lot of questions. Where will Jay White go? Is Jay White going to stay
Hmm.
with with New Japan, or is he going to move on?
That I do not know. But yeah, but always a good starting point. Want to knock it down, get back into New Japan because um, it just offers a different style and it's kind of like the style I like the most. It just seems they're just going at it. I mean, yeah, they do like acrobatic stuff and flips here and there, but most of the time it's like it feels like what they're hitting them with are real.
Right, right. It's a very that strong style is just presented very well, very similar to kind of like a big fight feel as far as professional wrestling is concerned. And I think it's going to be really interesting just to see how New Japan moves going forward. And then obviously New Year's Dash was last night. Um, I'm trying to see if there's anything of supreme importance. There's lots of big matches concerning like big tag matches like eight-man tags, 10-man tags. Um,
Yeah, that's what I saw. I accidentally clicked on it when I was trying to watch one of the events yesterday, and I was just like seeing like what they had to offer, and it just seemed like majority of the matches was people who were wrestling on Wrestling Kingdom, just like teamed up with another person, and they were going up
right,
against their respective person.
right. So it'll be interesting to see how New Japan moves forward. Obviously, in this COVID era, what
I don't
they'll
know.
be able to do if even if just looking at Moxley trying to get back and defend that U.S. championship.
I mean, dude, if they're able to handle it like how they did yesterday, and well, not yesterday, Monday and Tuesday, I want to see why not. I mean, they had like the most people we've seen at a wrestling event since this whole entire thing started, and you
Right,
know,
because they had they had what 20,000
Oh
fans
yeah,
each night.
if they honestly, if they didn't have like the if you didn't see the upper stands of the dome, it would look like it looked like it sold it out. So like they sold like the seats for, and it was packed.
Wow.
But I don't know. From what I read, like Japan's already like even before social distancing and everything like that, they're like already wearing masks. So it's just
Yeah,
kind of not
that's
surprising.
already well. That's yeah, that's already a big thing over there anyway. Just with a lot of the air pollution that they have and whatnot. But good for them.
Yep.
Hopefully one day we'll be at a point back here where we will be able to have fans at wrestling events again, and WWE and AEW and Impact and all those guys will be able to start going back on the road, and we can be in the crowd cheering on our favorite wrestlers once more.
Yep. So I saw something interesting. Do you want to end with that?
If it's what I think it is, then yes.
Oh, do you have something?
I do have something, but
What?
why don't you go
Why
first?
don't you go first?
Because you already mentioned yours first. So,
Okay. Well, today, earlier on the Thursday, Sports Illustrated Wrestling released their top 10 wrestlers of 2020.
oh,
And want to know what your thoughts were. All right, number. I'm just going to do no suspense. Just going to say it. Well, we can 10, starting with 10. 10, Eddie Kingston.
10, 10,
No,
10.
not that stooge. 9, Roman Reigns.
Wait, Eddie Kingston was number 10?
Yeah, I mean, dude, he's had a pretty good year.
Just go through the list.
Okay, 8, Ibushi. 7, Io Shirai. 6, Bailey. 5, Kenny Omega. 4, Naito. Number 3, Drew McIntyre. Number 2, John Moxley. And who do you think's number 1?
Adam Cole, baby.
It's boss time. Number 1, Sasha
What?
Banks.
What?
I think I'm just
Are
gonna
you
say,
serious?
yeah, I'm just gonna say two things. I think the person who made this list is a Banks simp, and if it had to be, if she's number 1, then Bailey should have been number 1. Like I thought Bailey had a better year than Sasha Banks. I mean, I believe Sasha Banks should be up there because her and Bailey were during the summer. WWE was nothing. Like they were like Roman Reigns wasn't there. That was like during the height of that pandemic. And then other than Drew, Sasha, and Bailey, I mean Bailey and Sasha were on 3 shows at once. Not Drew,
Right,
Bailey, Bailey and Sasha. But I just felt like Sasha was better.
right.
And not sorry, I think Bailey was better. Um,
Man,
was those the two things?
that's pretty wild. I would not have expected her to be the top
Yeah.
of that list. Um,
I mean, she had a phenomenal year, but
I mean, I can't believe.
in
Obviously,
my
we can tell that
opinion,
this list
well,
is wrong.
I mean, hell, it might like I think Io Shirai. The best women in that company was Bailey and Io Shirai, just from that standpoint of like what they did that year, and Sasha Banks is
Right.
3. But
Well,
I mean, I
and
think Drew was the best person in that company. But what was you?
it's hard to argue against that. I am kind of surprised um
Well, hell,
that
I
there's
think Moxley should have been
no.
number 1.
I mean, Moxley had a heck of a year. Um, you could even say that like I mean FTR had a little run. They could maybe well they didn't wrestle for a while with their no compete clause. Um, I can't believe our boy Pat McAfee didn't make that list. I'm really upset about that. Um, I mean, I guess it makes sense when you think about the broad spectrum of pro wrestling as a whole. But I do think that there are some people on that list that probably should have been on there. that didn't make it, but that's the deal with lists, you know. There are always going to be people who should probably have made it into the top 10 that didn't, and vice versa. And you know, you're always going to have people that agree and disagree with that. But I mean, I guess a lot of those names would probably reorganize and move around, but it's hard to argue that they didn't have the best 2020
I mean,
career wise.
I would say maybe switch out Eddie Kingston with Cody, but that like, of course, I'm not going to speak on New Japan and everything like that. I'm just going by off what they read. I mean, Naito, like he's had like a year long reign, right, with both titles, right?
For the most part, he lost them for a hot second, but then he regained both of them, and then he carried them back into Wrestle
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom.
So, what was your thing?
So my news, it's not really breaking news. It's this is from a couple of days ago, but I do think it's very important, just in the broad spectrum of professional wrestling. On January 5th, it was reported and it was made official that Ring of Honor and Marty Scurll have officially parted ways. Obviously, that's a big deal. Marty was on the booking committee for Ring of Honor, was involved in staying and writing and trying to help carry Ring of Honor onward um, after the Elite moved on to begin AEW, and then obviously the allegations, which have been true, have been proven true, have come out about Marty. That whole situation is just not a good one. It's really unfortunate. Um, but good for Ring of Honor to finally move forward. Without him, hopefully Marty can get the help that he would need to move forward and not make those kind of poor choices again. Um, will we ever see him in any kind of wrestling promotion or in the business? I don't know. I
NXT.
might.
I'm gonna AW by the end of
I mean,
three
I
months.
might. There's a really good chance, and I might catch heat for this, and that's fine. But just from my personal standpoint, you know, I would love to see him get a second chance because I think that just because you make a poor choice doesn't mean that you don't deserve a shot at redemption. And I think that Marty's in that same position. He made a terrible decision, um, and hopefully he's been able to learn from it and grow from it. And hopefully he doesn't make that same decision again. Um, and hopefully Ring of Honor can just be able to grow beyond this, get past it, and really help move their company forward. Especially because I think Ring of Honor's got a lot of really good pieces there to help keep them moving forward and moving strong. Um, but I think that was a big piece of news in the wrestling world that we had to at least touch on.
Indeed. Well, Mark, do you have anything else to add?
I mean, I don't have anything. We're getting close to the Royal Rumble. Um, it's hard to believe that we're already, by the time anybody's listening to this, we're already over a week into the new year. It's a great time to be a pro wrestling fan, and
Goldberg. Goldberg. Goldberg.
we'll
Goldberg.
we'll have to talk about that the next time we get together because obviously there's too much for us to hit in this one show, but we'll see what comes in the coming days. Obviously, we didn't even talk about much of Raw and SmackDown. It's a great time to be a pro wrestling fan. If anybody listens to this and you see something that you really liked or a match that you thought was really cool or something, like share that with us. We'll share it with other people. That's the beauty of pro wrestling and the wrestling community. Um,
Well, I think that'll do it for this show. We've been talking our jaws off about wrestling. We're going to try to shoot for next Wednesday. That was my fault. Had some issues come up. Not really issues. I guess work came up. But we're going to try to shoot for next Tuesday or next Wednesday. Next Wednesday. And hopefully it will not be as long as this episode. Thank you for listening. Marcus, anything else you want to say?